Okay, right. In this video, I'm going to tell you all the benefits to rucking, why everyone and anyone should be doing it, and how it could be the secret ingredient to successful health, longevity, body composition, and fat loss. Okay, so before I dive into all the benefits and the hows and the whys of rucking itself, let me just give you a super quick rundown of what rucking is. I'm sure most of you already know and probably have guessed right now essentially what it is. All it is some sort of loaded locomotion, walking with weight. The Americans, I think, probably coined the term rucking. I think the Brits, yomping or tabbing. It's sort of an ex-military sort of expression, the idea of these loaded carries through the marshes, fields, whatever. But essentially, as I said, all it is walking with weight. But there are so many cool benefits and just amazing sort of outcomes from such a simple action. Point number one to why I think rucking, yomping, tabbing, loaded carries is so cool is because of the amount of controlled volume you can do. So what I mean by that is it's just an amount of volume that you can recover from. You can do it sort of daily, every other day, but also you can tie it in with the other stuff, whether it's a sort of calisthenics workout, whether it's a gym workout, whether it's kettlebells or a bodyweight session in the morning. It can come before, after, during, whatever it is, it can be done the same day. Because rucking, loaded carries, they predominantly work in zone 1 and 2 aspects. Your heart rate's pretty low. It doesn't beat you, just doesn't beat you up as much. It does strengthen and increase heart rate a little bit, which I'll talk about in a second. But in regards to what it doesn't seem to tax your central nervous system or just smash you to the ground like certain sort of chronic cardio can do, especially when you work in that sort of grey zone between aerobic and anaerobic, where you're not really getting that stimulus and you're not really adapting to the stimulus you're giving it. And I think there's just too much junk volume, whereas the rucking, you're always going to be working in a very low zone 1 and zone 2, probably maximum heart rate. I'm out right now with about 25 kilos on, doing a few hills here as well. Max heart rate is about 110, so really keeping it fairly simple. I've had a big workout this morning in the gym, so again, it just ties in nicely because they both work in synergy, just great. So the fact that you can just do a decent amount of volume each day, each week, is one of the coolest reasons to why people should ruck. So that ties in nicely to point 2, and this is probably one of the main reasons why a lot of you guys are here, is sort of body composition. Because you can have a decent amount of volume of this stuff daily, weekly, monthly, because it works so well with other stuff, because it's such a low intensity, zone 1 and 2, it just means you can get a lot more activity, a lot more movement in the day, in the week, and therefore you have a much bigger sort of thermic effect calorie burn throughout the week. And in turn, you do look better. Your body composition changes because you can focus just as much on the gym stuff, on the push-ups, pull-ups, dips, kettlebells and lunges and squats and things, and you can still get out for that zone 1 and zone 2. I think because the juxtaposition between the two is so cleanly divided, I think you can get just the outcome for your body composition, your physique is great. I think I've dropped weight, probably got a little bit leaner, a little bit stronger from dropping so much through the running, doing more of this sort of stuff, because again, it's not just about the calorie burn, but I think it's also about the hormonal impact of it all. I think again, that chronic cardio can elevate cortisol, can decrease testosterone if you're trying to do too much and if you're overloading the system. But with this, I think if anything, it's going to help to lower the cortisol, maybe even increase testosterone. But as I said, because it just goes alongside with the other stuff you're doing in the day, because you can do so much of it and regularly, day by day, and anyone, any age, which is kind of point 3, but can do it. I think that is why it just works so well as a fat loss tool to get yourself in the best shape without beating yourself up, without running yourself into the ground. This leads me to point number 3, basically the accessibility of this thing. It's just so easy for anyone and everyone to get a cheap rucksack or a backpack, or the more affordable, the more expensive one, or get a loaded plate carrier, whatever it is. Even if you've got a bag at home, fill it with some sand, some plastic bags, chuck it in your rucksack, or whatever it is. Adding weight to your body isn't that complicated. And because anyone and pretty much everyone can do it, it just means that it's a very accessible thing to do. And as I said, if you're fortunate to get out the woods, brilliant. But if not, on the way to work, if you sort of just try and keep it sort of a bit more, I guess, subtle looking, you don't really want to be walking around crazy like this in certain cities and towns. You might get a few weird looks. But a rucksack with some weight, no one's going to know, a backpack, whatever, and the extra amount of calorie burn from your walk to work in the morning, from the station to the office, or dropping off the kids at school, whatever that extra bit is, if it's a 30, 40, 50-minute walk, adding some weight in will increase that sort of calorie burn, that sort of thermogenic effect of the weight onto your body by about sort of 20% roughly, depending on obviously the weight, 10, 15, 20%. But it's just not only the calorie burn, it's the fact that it can also increase the strength of the joints, the muscles, the ligaments, which is going to lead me on to point number 4. Hang on. And then of course the extra bonus is that lovely feeling when you take it all off. When you get all the heavy pack off you, you feel like a huge weight has been lifted from your shoulders. Right. So point 4 is efficiency. The fact that you can be out there rucking for a long time, but also you've got your hands free. So you can still make your phone calls to whatever it is, you can still reply to emails, send messages, make sure the kids are okay, check timetables or whatever it is, or if you've got a couple of dogs like I do, you can take the dogs out at the same time of doing this such a beneficial, impactful exercise. So you're killing 2 or 3 birds with 1 stone. So I think for efficiency, it's just a brilliant tool. And as I said before, you can use it to go to work or back from school or do the shopping, whatever it is. It's just a very easy, efficient and accessible tool. Also, I have to quickly point out, so just in regards to the muscles you're actually predominantly working, there's a lot of posterior chain, your glutes and hamstrings and quads, but also you're working a lot of core muscles inside, your sort of, with inside the core, which don't really get turned on, recruited during general exercise. The fact that it's pulling you back ever so slightly, it just means you have to engage your core a lot more to stabilize your trunk. So yeah, it's a load more sort of muscles getting recruited from the training. So all in all, fantastic. One cool point that I heard from a YouTuber guy, I can't remember his name, so I'm just going to steal it straight off him. But he made a very interesting point that you don't need to ramp yourself up with caffeine or get yourself amped up like you do maybe for a workout or a run. It could be 6 o'clock in the morning, super quiet, just put the pack on and go for a walk. It could be 7 o'clock in the evening, you've just had your dinner, you put your pack on, you go for a walk. So you just don't need to get yourself all worked up to do it like you sometimes have to do for a workout. So just a very, again, super easy, accessible thing to do that pretty much anyone and everyone could be doing with your 8 or 80. Build these up slowly, take your time, maybe add sort of maybe 10% of sort of weight or volume over sort of, a week or a couple of weeks. And if you're concerned about anything, if it's a new thing, consult your doctor before starting any sort of major new workout. Just make sure you're okay to do it. If there's any issues, please do make sure that you're all okay before you start to, start anything new. But I would say, and this is another plus point, it's a pretty safe thing to do because most people should be able to walk well. So walking with a bit of extra weight shouldn't be that complicated, shouldn't be that taxing, but it is extremely beneficial for all the reasons I've just said. Anywho, I'll leave it there. Probably gone on a bit too long, but thank you very much for watching. If you like that, please do click that like button and subscribe. Loads more stuff coming out soon. Loads more gut health stuff that I'm talking about now. Lots of videos in the pipeline, all to do with gut health. And they sort of tie back gently to my book as well. So the Microbe Edge, no plug here, but I will plug it. So the Microbe Edge, it's on Kindle, Amazon, not in paperback yet, but it will be very soon. Right, take care, hope all's well, and that's it. See you soon.